transitioning over to our Seattle Mariners baseball club here. We were talking about it. We were hoping that there was positive news about the lockout. By the time that it was night of the last recording session we had last Monday, there were positive talks going forward. There were positive talks going early into the night, well, early into the next morning, that is. And both the players' union and the league owners decided, hey, this is good progress. This is solid. Let's close for now and convene in the morning for that supposed deadline of the 28th. Well, with that all being taken into account, you can see on your screen here, opening day will be delayed because that deadline was not met. On the first of the month, Commissioner Rob Manfred canceled the first two series of the season. It is the first time in 27 years that baseball will lose regular season games over a labor dispute. Now, what went into this was, if you've been following in with us, you've heard about how the players and the players union and the league owners have met for 5 minutes, 15 minutes here, and then meet a week later, right? And they didn't even start until around January. Taking this all into account, why they weren't meeting every day back in December is beyond me. That's already, we're past that state. They had been having talks about every day since Monday, 2 weeks ago, I believe, and sitting down and actually speaking to each other every single day and having meetings for hours, right? On that last Monday that we saw you, they had been meeting. They met for a total of 16 hours. They sat and they met for 16 total hours. Thought there was good progress going on. They decided, hey, let's shelve it and we'll come back and talk tomorrow. That would not be the case. They came back, talked tomorrow. The MLB put in a final offer, and the players' union said, hey, this is not at all what we thought was going on, anything positive. We're not going to take that. And so the league will lose games. As we mentioned on the first, that was officially announced. On the 4th, the union started a lockout fund. The players' union, that is, started a $1 million fund to help stadium workers and other employees during the lockout. The league would soon follow suit. A report came out also on the 4th that the Players Association was open to a 14-team playoff, something that they had opposed earlier, citing a 12-team playoff instead. The union is willing to talk playoff expansion in exchange for more flexibility on the collective bargaining tax numbers and the other issues. And then on the 6th, the MLB and the MLBPA were deadlocked on the collective bargaining agreement, with an MLB spokesperson saying that the union's latest offer went backwards. So the way we're looking at things with this lockout right now is that financially, both sides can do this until about May, which isn't exactly fun to think about, but they can do this till about May. That is when the broadcast partners start to say, hey, we're going to start losing actual money on this. You can lose about 30 games or so. You can lose, however much time we've got until May, without losing, substantial funds. But that's when broadcast partners would start to put pressure on and say, hey, you need to get this figured out already. So that's not ideal at all. I would have liked to hit that supposed deadline that was put in place by the owners, mind you. The owners put that in place and set this lockout in place in the first place at all. So it's difficult. I know that the players have agreed to a pitch clock, larger bases, and banning the shift in terms of things. Those are all things that we did not know last week. Those are newer developments. Those are things that the players have caved on and compromised on. The base thing could be good for the game, meaning more steals, less chance for injury and collisions, all that. Banning the shift's kind of weird. I think, like I've talked about with a lot of different teams on this show, adjustments are a big deal in any sport, right? So banning the shift is kind of weird. It's like someone on Twitter said, why would you ban too deep coverage if a quarterback can't throw it that far? You're catering to a select, I don't know. So that's what we know. Ultimately, like I said, We could be looking at something until May. That would be the worst case scenario, but that's kind of the potential timeline that we're seeing. So keep that in mind as we continue on. There's no necessarily end in sight. On Monday, we had some hope that might have been, blind optimism. But now, for the time being, we don't know. The meetings are scattered throughout the week. We've had some. There was one last yesterday. So we're kind of going with what we've got here, and it's kind of that time period where we have no idea what will take place. So back on the lockout void, so to speak.